Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome back if you are a regular and welcome if it's your first time. My name's Louise and the topic of today's episode is damage and damages, collocations with these two words. If you don't know what these two words mean, if they confuse you, make sure that you watch my previous video on this topic where I explain the differences and we do a quick quiz at the end. So today we will look at the collocations with these words. Make sure that you stay until the end where there will be another quiz. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel, and do me a favor, share this episode on your social media or share it with a friend because it really helps me to grow my channel and reach more people. So thank you. Don't forget that you can also find me on social media. My Facebook group is the Study Legal English group on Facebook, and you can also find me on Instagram. And my address is @legalenglisher. If you want to download the quiz, which is coming at the end, the link is in the section below the video. So let's dive in. The first thing that you probably need to know is, what is a collocation? What are collocations? Skip ahead if you already know this, but I'd like to just quickly explain what they are. I like to describe collocations in a very simple way, as simply words that go together. Earlier this year, I went to the Global Legal Skills Conference at the University of Bari in Italy, and I saw a talk by Denise Milizia, and she explained that we can kind of think of words as people. And some people are very attracted to each other, and others repel each other. And collocations, when we've got strong collocations, they're words that are in love with each other. They love each other. They're really attracted to each other. Okay. And they love being with each other. They hang out all the time. That's what a strong collocation is. So there are two types. You've got grammatical collocations, where you get your sort of main word, like a noun, adjective, or verb, plus a participle, like a preposition. You might also get an adverb or a particular verb form. So an example of this type of collocation is to depend on. Okay. So the next type of collocation is a lexical collocation, and this is essentially a combination of two or more main words. Okay, a combination of two nouns, or a noun and an adjective, or a noun and a verb. So an example is to cause damage. Okay, so why should you use them? Why should you care? Using collocations makes you sound more fluent. You will be understood better. You will sound more like a native speaker. And so they're really important patterns to learn. So let's go with the main content. We're going to look at 4 collocations with the word damage. I'm going to give you some definitions and examples first of all. Let's have a look at the first one. To cause damage. To cause damage. What does it mean? It means to harm, to injure, to destroy, to damage. Okay, you can of course just simply use the verb to damage. So to cause damage, some people make the mistake of saying to make damage. It's incorrect. Okay, it's to cause damage. An example sentence is, the company's faulty machinery caused damage to nearby properties. Let's go on to number 2. Serious damage. Serious damage. Okay. It's easy. You probably know what it means. It means significant or major harm. An example sentence is, the breach of contract caused serious damage to the company. You might think, yeah, of course, that's easy. I understand that. But are you using it? Because some people say, my client had important damage. It's not correct, or at least it doesn't sound very fluent. So you should be using serious damage. All right, next one, minor damage. You probably understand what it means. It means small or insignificant harm. But are you using it? Because some people say small damage. There was small damage to the property. It's not really correct. It's not what we would usually say, okay? So an example sentence is, the car accident resulted in only minor damage to both vehicles, so no major repairs were necessary. Minor damage. Okay, the next one, the fourth one, I forgot to put the number. To suffer damage. Again, you might know what it means. It means to experience, to endure, to have, to be the victim of harm, injury, or loss, often, as a result of another party's actions. That's why you would be having a lawsuit in this particular case. An example sentence is, my claimant suffered damage to their property due to the defendant's negligence. Okay, so again, you might know what this means, but are you using it correctly? Are you using it instead of another phrase? For example, a lot of my students can say to have some damage. My client had some damage. It's not really correct, okay? It's not very fluent, at least. Let's move on and look at 4 collocations with damages now. So remember from my previous video, damage means, harm, loss, injury. Okay. Whereas damages, if you remember what it means, I hope you do, it means monetary compensation. Okay. It's what you're seeking in the court. So let's look at some definitions and examples. First one, to claim or to seek damages. Again, maybe you know what it means. It means when a natural or legal person, usually, the claimant, formally requests financial compensation for harm or loss suffered as part of a lawsuit. You're basically asking for money in court. An example sentence is, the employee is seeking damages for unfair dismissal from the company. The employee is seeking damages for unfair dismissal from the company. So pay attention, because some people say, my client asks damage. My client asks damage, or my client asks damages, and this isn't correct. It's not even correct grammatically, because we would say to ask for damages, okay, to ask for damages. But even if you're saying to ask for damages, it makes sense, but it's not the most common collocation. You might say to request damages, but to claim damages, to seek damages is much more common. Also, pay attention, you don't say to seek for damages, it's just seek damages. Another point to remember with seek is that it is an irregular verb. Both the past simple and the past participle is sought. Okay, seek, sought, sought. Sought is spelt S-O-U-G-H-T. And so if you're speaking in the past, or you're using the passive voice with the verb to seek, you have to say sought. So you would say my client sought damages in court last week, or damages were sought by the claimant in the court case. Okay, let's move on. Number 2, to sue for damages. To sue for damages. Okay, again, you probably know what it means, but are you using it? It means when a natural or legal person, the claimant, okay, files a lawsuit in order to obtain compensation for a loss, an injury, harm that they allege was caused by the defendant. So an example sentence would be, the company decided to sue for damages after its intellectual property was used without its permission. So the company sued for damages after its intellectual property was used without its permission. So again, remember here, to sue for damages, you have to use the preposition for. You can't sue damages. And some people make the mistake of saying to pursue damages. My client pursued damages. It's simply not correct. Okay, so the correct collocation is to sue for damages. Let's have a look at number 3, to award damages. Do you know this one? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I've had some students who are surprised by this collocation. The meaning is when a court decides to grant monetary compensation, financial compensation, compensation to a party that has suffered harm or loss due to the other party's actions. Okay, so the court is saying, yes, this party must pay the other party. That's an award for damages. Okay. So an example sentence is, the judge awarded damages to the claimant aimed at compensating them for any loss suffered. So pay attention here, because some people, some students of mine have been saying, my client was sentenced to damages, or my client was sentenced to pay damages. It's not correct. We only use the verb to sentence when we are working in criminal law. And so, and in any case, you wouldn't say it exactly in that phrasing. So usually the court awards damages, even if it was in the criminal court, you would still say the court made an award. You would say the court awarded damages to the whoever it is. Usually damages aren't really awarded in criminal law in England in any case. Anyway, so let's continue. Number 4, to pay damages. I think it's quite self-explanatory, but the meaning is when the defendant provides the compensation as ordered by the court to the claimant. Okay. An example sentence, the court found in favour of the claimant and ordered the defendant to pay damages. So you probably know the meaning of these collocations, but as I've mentioned, you might not actually be using them. You might be using some kind of alternative, which doesn't sound so fluent. Some people here say to give damages. The defendant gave damages to the claimant. It's not the most accurate one to use. We would say to pay damages. So I want to just, before we do our quiz, I've got a note on damages. The first, I've got 2 points to mention. Okay, the first one is when you're using damages, you want to use the construction. Of course, you can use the collocations as I have shown you, but you might want to put an amount, the amount of damages within the collocation. Okay, and when you do that, you've got your verb plus the specified amount, then the preposition in plus damages. An example would be the court with award damages, okay, would be the court awarded £100 in damages. Okay, if we use paid to pay damages, we can say the defendant paid £100 in damages. Another way of saying this, okay, would be that you put the amount after the collocation. So here, for example, you've got your verb plus damages plus of, the preposition of, and then the specific amount. An example with the collocation to award damages would be the court awarded damages of £100. An example with to pay damages would be the defendant paid damages of £100. Okay, so are you ready? Because now it's quiz time. So on the next 2 slides, we've got a total of 8 sentences. In each sentence, the collocation is missing. You need to fill it in with the options that you can see on the screen here. And remember, you may need to conjugate your verbs, okay, in the correct tense, etc. After the quiz, we will go through the answers. So, are you ready? You either are going to say the answers out loud to yourself, or you are going to write them down, or you're simply going to think of them in your mind. So, let's go. Which collocation? Number 1. The shareholders are bringing a claim against the directors for wrongdoing. In other words, they are for Okay, what do you think that is? Okay, let's move on. Number 2. According to the car rental agreement, any costs to repair will be deducted from the deposit, and more serious damage will be covered by the insurance company. All right. Number 3. The claimant is for personal injury caused by the defendant's defective product. What could it be? Okay, let's move on. Number 4. The company, to its reputation, due to the fraud trials and conviction of its CEO. Difficult. Okay, let's move on. We've got 4 more on the next page as well. Okay, which collocation? Number 5. The defendant to the property by driving his car into the claimant's wall. Okay. Number 6. The court £5,000 in to the claimant following the defendant's breaches of the General Data Protection Regulation. Okay. Number 7. The computer systems were hacked and could cause to national security. Okay. Remember that, here you're filling in with a collocation. It's not just one word, all right? Number 8. The tenant was ordered of €10,000 to the landlord for damage caused to the property. Okay. So, if you need to go back and do them again in your own time, just rewind the video, of course. So now let's have a look. We're going to look at the answers. It's now time for the answers, so you can mark whether you got them correct or not. Okay, which collocation? Number 1, the shareholders are bringing a claim against the directors for wrongdoing. They are suing for damages. They're suing for damages. Number 2, according to the car rental agreement, any costs to repair minor damage will be deducted from the deposit, and more serious damage will be covered by the insurance company. Number 3, the claimant is claiming or seeking damages for personal injury caused by the defendant's defective product. Okay. And number 4, the company suffered damage to its reputation due to the fraud trials and conviction of its CEO. The company suffered damage. So those are the first 4 answers. You've got to sue for damages, minor damage, to claim or to seek damages, and to suffer damage. But of course, in the correct conjugation when you've got the verb involved. Let's move on to the next 4. So, number 5, the defendant caused damage to the property by driving his car into the claimant's wall. Number 6, the court awarded £5,000 in damages to the claimant following the defendant's breaches of the General Data Protection Regulation. Number 7, the computer systems were hacked and could cause serious damage to national security. And finally, number 8, the tenant was ordered to pay damages of €10,000 to the landlord for damage caused to the property. The tenant was ordered to pay damages. Okay, so you've got to cause damage, to award damages, serious damage, and to pay damages, but with those verbs correctly conjugated where necessary. So, how many did you get correct? Be honest. Did you get 100% correct? Did you get 50% correct? Let me know. And of course, you can make your own sentences. So leave a comment with, your score, and try to make your own sentences with these collocations. So thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed it and learned some new collocations. You're going to be using these in real life, and by doing so, you will sound much more fluent. Don't forget to sign up for my site membership. If you're interested, you can find that at studylegalenglish.com/pricing. And do check out my other videos, join the Study Legal English Facebook group, and find me on Instagram at Legal Englisher. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.